literally paused it, and I was like, "Yo, what's up with his driver's license picture?" Because he wouldn't even look at it. It was like a glamour shot. It was like this. I was like, "Yeah, what the?"
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Blerd Up, where we talk about all things movies, music, TV, and gaming, all with a Blerd twist. We're your hosts, I'm Killer Cam.
And I'm Monique.
And today we are going to review Fatal Affair from Netflix. So we reviewed the trailer for this, was it last week?
I think so,
It was last week, and we were hyped about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those true, like, I don't know about you guys, but I love these type of movies. I absolutely love these type of movies. They're not quite Lifetime movies, but they're, I don't know. I just, it's like my guilty pleasure type of movie.
Yeah. So here's the thing. We've seen this story over and over and over and over again since we were little, you know.
Yeah.
Lifetime movies. I think a few years ago we had The Perfect Guy with Sanaa Lathan, When the Bow Breaks with Regina Hall. Even Beyonce was obsessed. Anyway, but these movies, I don't think they're really meant to be taken too seriously.
Yeah, like you're just supposed to watch them and have fun with it. And I mean, they're not thinking like, "Oh, we're gonna win an Oscar with this." They just like want to say, "Let's do something to have fun. Let's do something to, you know, just get people away from everything, you know, that's going on."
Exactly,
so I was like, I'm all in for this.
It's almost the equivalent of like a soap opera.
Yeah.
Like Days of Our Lives, Marlena being possessed by the devil.
Yeah.
Well, come on. Come on. We know that this is not meant to be taken seriously, but the thing that I like about this movie, they did a really good job with the story. Again, reductive, fatal attraction, you know, we know it. But the thing that I like about it is just the representation.
Yeah.
So the movie starts off, you got your main characters. By the way, this movie was directed by Peter Sullivan.
I think that's right.
Peter Sullivan, who did, was it Secret Obsession?
Yes, on another Netflix original. And I actually, because let me stop you right there, because you say that, you know, it's the story's not, you know, bad or anything like that. I differ a little bit with you about that. Because, you know, this story is, like you were saying, a lot like the other movies that we have seen before. The Intruder, The Perfect Guy, you know, Obsessed, you know, No Good Deed.
Yeah.
I think those movies are slightly better than this one.
Well, I mean,
it's still good. I still like this movie. However, I just think this one, and I don't know if it was because of Netflix or what, those other movies were actually released theatrically, so I don't know if something was basically different with those movies. Of course, they were released theatrically, so of course they probably had maybe a little bit more budget to them. But I think those movies are slightly better than this one. However, I still like this one.
Well, here, let's look at it this way. It was definitely better than A Fall from Grace.
I haven't even watched that movie. I saw the trailers for that movie, and as soon as I saw that wig on Macabre Brooks' head and Tyler Perry's head, I was like, nah, bro, I'm not watching that. Like, I applaud Tyler Perry for... Hold on, wait a minute. I'm not down in Tyler Perry. I applaud him for his own studio, for filming that movie in a week. However, nah, bro, I'm not going on that. You're gonna have to do a little bit better.
So it's safe to say this is not that, but let's definitely jump into the movie review. Before we do that, again, thank you to everyone who's been liking, subscribing, viewing our videos. We really appreciate it. It helps us grow as a channel. Again, if you want to stay up to date with this type of content, please make sure you drop down, hit the subscribe button. Leave us a like, leave us a comment if you notice something in the movie we don't happen to see, or if you've got any special requests. We've actually gotten a few requests via comments, and we'll be taking those on here in the near future, so stay tuned. But let's jump into A Fatal Affair, again directed by Peter Sullivan, starring Nia Long as Ellie Warren, Omar Epps as David, and Stephen Bishop as Marcus Warren. So immediately the movie is set up with kind of like a sex scene.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it. It comes on now. Of course, because I know you were watching it before I did, and I was like trying to wash the dishes and stuff. So I'm like, wait a minute, what did I miss? This is just how it started. So starts with the sex scene. A man and a woman, they end up getting killed. Blah blah blah. We jump over to Nia Long's character, Ellie Warren, and immediately she's got this presence about her. She's a professional woman. She's a lawyer. But you start to see kind of like her mindsets and interactions with her family. You can kind of tell her marriage is a little bit stale.
Well, see, this is where I had the problem with it. Yes, you do jump into, Nia Long showing how professional she is, lawyer. I think her husband is an architect, Marcus. I would have liked to see at the beginning a little bit more relationship between the two, between Marcus and Ellie, before we jumped right in. Because literally 20 minutes within the movie, within 20 minutes, I mean, there's already, the entanglement's already done and over with.
Right.
And I felt like I didn't really have time at the beginning of the movie to just be like, okay, what's Ellie and Marcus's relationship like? Like, why is she so sad about, like, what? I mean, there's references at the very beginning where Marcus, they reference that he had an accident,
something traumatic has happened, which has led to this.
We don't know, like, why Ellie is the reason, like, the accident, the reason why that the relationship is not good anymore.
Yeah.
Or I wish I just would have.
We'll get into that later, because I noticed something about that. We'll definitely get into that later. So, but when they start off with her, I immediately knew that something was stale in the marriage. Something was gone, missing. And when you think about it, they're empty nesters now. Their daughter is in college. And she's making a transition from a big law firm to starting her own firm.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because you said they're empty nesters now. Yo, when mom and dad, when I went to college,
they was partying.
I know. Like, the first time I came back, there was alcohol everywhere. They were like, you out of the house, so we got to do it. Like, we're doing whatever we want. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
They party. But that's how you can tell, just from our experience, knowing that you could tell something's up here. Something's wrong. So anyway, fast forward, we are introduced to David. Turns out Ellie
really
Warren's
fast forward too. I'm sorry.
It was quick.
It started out way too fast for me, but go ahead.
Yeah. But Ellie's firm has hired him as a tech advisor, which immediate to me, knowing that type of environment, like he's a hacker. So they recognize each other, they're all introduced, and he's like, oh, it's been a long time, blah 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 blah. Fast forward, let's go out, get drinks, catch up. And she brushes him off, which she should have. All right. He keeps asking her out, and she keeps brushing him off. But she's supposed to go out for girls' night with her best friend, Courtney.
Such a horrible thing.
We'll talk about her a little bit later. With Courtney, and at the last minute, Courtney has to work, stands her up. But by that time, both Ellie and David are already at the bar. So, they're like, hey, we'll make the most of it. So, having drinks, and they're flirting back and forth. It's not just him. She's flirting back with him. I think Marcus even sent her a text. Was like, oh, tell Courtney hi or something like that.
And then she was like, yeah, Courtney says hi.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. As a married woman, I was like, how dare you? Like, the way he'd just be like, because you can see him, like, subtly, like, touch her and stuff. And every time they would close up on, like, David touching Ellie, I would be like, girl, if you don't swat his hand away, like, you are married. Back up.
And I'm going to go into that a little bit also. But long story short, they end up going to, like, another club, and they're playing Send Me, Forget Me. That's Patrice Rushen, if you don't know who that is. But they're chilling, and then they end up in the bathroom, kissing and touching and fondling and stuff or whatever. And she stops him. You can see something click in her brain, like, okay, I'm not supposed to be doing this. They did everything but the thing in there. She goes off about her business. You immediately see a change in the way she interacts with Marcus after that, her husband. You immediately start to see that she's a little bit more attentive. She's a little bit more, how do I want to say it? I guess attentive is the right word.
I thought she felt bad that she did something wrong, so she was trying to be like, oh my God, I love you so much. Like, she was trying to make up for her wrong.
Is it that, or is she realizing? So you take it as that way. I took it as I almost did something really stupid, and my dude's not punching me in the face or anything on a daily basis. He's a good guy, and something traumatic has happened, so the blame is on me for putting myself in that situation.
She's trying to make up for what happened.
Okay, fine.
I mean, again, she does realize that she does have a good relationship. So what she was doing was wrong. However, I think the more being attentive to her husband was, I did this bad thing, like, I know it was wrong, I need to appreciate what I have, and, just, I need to make up for what happened.
Right. But again, long story short, they get into that. David's, like, consistently calling her and stuff, and she's brushing him off. She's, like, trying to keep it away, and then all of a sudden he just so happens to bump into her one day, blocking traffic, and she's like, listen, leave me alone. This can't happen.
What was that? How many red flags?
There was a few.
How many red flags by the time that happened? Because there were so many things that he said in terms of, like, oh yeah, I was kind of stalking you because I knew you worked with this firm and stuff. I was like, girl,
like,
you ignoring the red flags right now.
But here was the other thing, and the way he was able to wiggle in. So he's got this personality. Again, I'm gonna refer back to this book because it's so insightful. It kind of teaches you how to watch out for certain things. It's called The Art of Seduction. And David, who I immediately recognized as a narcissist, I'm like, oh, here we go. Notice how he kept taking on different characters. So in this book, it kind of outlines the different characters you run into when being seduced. And he immediately caught me as a charmer, number one. And then he was picking at her, pulling information out of her. And at one point I was like, Ellie, you talk too damn much. Stop telling him all this stuff about your marriage,
Like, again, like, literally, she told him, like, one day you wake up and you feel like you're sleeping next to a stranger. And I was like, girl, too much. You done went too far.
Right. So it was like he was able to use that information to wiggle in, basically, and insert himself into her life.
Right.
He had already been working out. The other thing that I thought was really not funny, but his court-ordered anger management.
I literally, and this is not the first time I wrote this down, but I literally, when his psychiatrist said that, I literally write down, like, oh, he crazy.
Right.
And I found myself all throughout this movie writing that down. Like, oh, he crazy.
Right. And like, he just basically keeps amping up his stalking efforts. He breaks into their house. He puts cameras in there. He steals her panties and sniffs them.
That's weird.
He's in the house.
But side note, why in every stalkerish type of movie does the stalker break in to smell somebody else's underwear?
Apparently that's a thing.
I mean, it's clean. It smells like laundry. It don't smell like that person. I hope they washed it before they put it back in the drawer. But that clicked for me like a while ago. Like, why are you smelling this person's laundry? It smelled like laundry detergent.
It's an obsession. That's like a thing.
Weird.
It's an obsession, which we'll come back to a little bit later. But again, he's amped up his stalking efforts or whatever, and they end up meeting for like lunch or whatever, and she's trying to break it off. She's like, listen, this is wrong. It's like, I'm sorry this happened. We can't do this. Because at the end of the day, here's what happens when you're dealing with a person like that. Sometimes though, with her situation though, there's a little bit of guilt there. She has to acknowledge that she played a part in this.
Well, and that's another thing. She has to acknowledge that she had played a part in this. But when it gets to a point where this person is continually trying to, contact you, shows up coincidentally where you are, you need to tell your husband, and y'all need to go to the police. Own up to what you did,
right? And
go to the police and file a report. Like, that's all she had to do. Own up to what she did.
But we know that's not how it works sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
That's just not how it works. But the thing was, he flipped out on her and called her Deborah, and I was like, child, who is Deborah? Who is Deborah? I was like, and then I flashed to the beginning, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's happening. So, again, they're going on about her business. They're going to have Courtney over for dinner. She brings a +1, and girl, it's David.
Ever. Again, one of those parts in the movie I was like, oh, he crazy.
It's David. They sit there pretending like they don't know each other.
Right. Again, own up to what you did. Now this man is in your house.
Right. And here's the thing that bothered me. I was like, because obviously they weren't that good friends.
Yeah.
Just basically because if she was really like tight with Courtney, she would have told her, oh, you know, the night we were supposed to hang out and you bailed on me, I hung out with him, blah, blah, blah.
That's not
that's
not how I determined they weren't good friends.
Well,
Keep on going.
there was flags that you could tell that they were just kind of like associates. They weren't really like real friends or whatever. But basically, she pulls him aside. She's like, look, you need to get out of my house. I don't care how you do it. Make up a reason, but you need to leave. Don't you ever come near me, my family, yada, 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 ever again. And part of me feels like she thought that was going to be the end of it. No. David is crazy.
Oh, he's crazy.
He's severely crazy.
Crazy.
The thing that I did like was she was not helpless in this situation. As a lawyer, she had access to how to find the information she was trying to get to the bottom of.
Right.
So she was going back. I forgot who that lady was. I guess they were like friends from college or whatever.
Yeah, it was kind of weird how it took me a minute to register who that person was, and I don't think I really actually fully registered who it was. But yeah, I guess it was somebody who knew both her and David a while back. And
she spills the beans.
Yeah,
his
she was
ex-wife
like, "Oh,
died.
yeah, ex-wife. Yeah, she's dead." And oh, she looked like you. No, he had
which she didn't.
He had a thing. I think she kind of did. Like sort of, kind of. If you squint your eye a little bit, but then she was like, "Oh yeah, David had like a thing for you," and like I was like.
He basically, I want to say he almost kind of built his life after her based on him being with her. You know what I mean? Like he was trying to create a life. Like he was married to her and trying to make, I guess, his life with Deborah like that.
And see, this is what threw me off. And I may have missed it. But this is what kind of threw me off because what you said, he was trying to build his life with this Deborah and, you know, make believing that it was sort of kind of Ellie or something. When Deborah died, I thought they were going to say something in the movie because there's another crazy moment in the movie where Ellie's following David around and she follows him to the golf course where he's playing golf with her husband. And her husband tells David just basically what happened in terms of him breaking his collarbone in the accident.
And I thought he'd do that.
I thought they were going to reveal, like, maybe like sometime in the movie that David was the cause of the accident because
he's known where she was and where she's been and what she's been doing this whole time.
Marcus was like, oh yeah, they never found, the truck or whatever that threw me off the road and stuff like that. And I literally wrote down, I was like,
David did that.
Twist.
Right.
David tried to kill her husband.
I think he did.
They never said it in the movie.
They never confirmed it, and I think they left it ambiguous so we can think that. But I personally think he did. I think they did.
Y'all know what kind of movie y'all are. Just say it at the end.
But to go a step further, she's getting all her information. I like how she gets in his apartment and she uses the old trick. Oh, I was up there last night. You don't remember me, girl.
That hotel, that front desk person is gonna get fired.
Right.
Girl, you don't ever let somebody up there talk about, oh, I was here this morning and I just need to go. Girl, we've all had those days.
Right.
I literally wrote down like, you gonna get fired.
But she gets in the apartment though. She starts looking at his stuff, and he's got this big tech room with monitors and servers everywhere.
I don't even think it was a big tech room. I think it was a closet.
Yeah, but he's got surveillance
with the thing pushed up against the door.
Yeah, and he's got pictures of her family, her and her husband doing it and all that stuff. And then he comes home, and she's like hiding under the counter. And had it not been for Courtney calling, saying she wanted some dinner from him, she probably would have got her butt beat. But she's finding all this information. She's trying to warn Courtney, but he already done snitched to Courtney like, yeah, she did this to me. She trying to get up on me, and I ain't want to, and blah, 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 blah. So Courtney's being like, girl, you a liar, girl, and all this stuff. And I'm like,
Courtney,
y'all can't be real friends because if you know your friend and you know your character of your friend, because you just met dude.
Courtney, this is what I said to myself. How bad do you need a man?
Right. She was thirsty. That was thirst.
How bad do you need a man that you sitting over here believing this man over somebody you said is, supposed to be your friend.
Right. And he's like doctoring text messages and showing her stuff. It was crazy. It was just so crazy.
She's bad
friend. But eventually what ends up happening is it just kind of ends up coming to a head. Basically, fun fact that I just realized when I was watching it, her receptionist or admin assistant, that was Estelle, the singer.
I knew she looked familiar, and I was like, "Oh, she got a nice accent."
That was Estelle. So
okay,
yeah,
cool.
But it just all kind of comes to a head. You know, Courtney finally starts to get suspicious after he gives her Ellie's negligee that he done stole.
That's nasty.
He trying to choke her and stuff, and she's just allowing it.
Found that, like, how you get my pleasure?
But eventually, you know, she starts to come to the realization that something isn't right, and she ends up seeing his phone and Ellie's pictures on his phone, and it finally clicks to her. But by then, it's too late. He done busted her upside the head, and I thought he killed her. I thought he had killed her, actually.
Yeah. Turns out he didn't.
He didn't know. And of course, Ellie finds her friend and calls the police or whatever. Now she's got to tell Marcus.
Up to her husband.
She's got to tell Marcus and her daughter everything that's happening. And rightfully so, he was frustrated. But I did like the fact how they kind of pulled the family together to give like the nitty gritty so people can be careful. Because sometimes in those types of movies, remember like in Fatal Attraction, how Homegirl just picked up the kid from school and took him on.
I felt like and this is why I said I wish I would have known more about the relationship prior to like at the very beginning of the movie, because when they came back around and they were having the conversation and talking about what happened, I didn't feel anything from it. I was just like, you know, this is the part of the movie where she got to tell her husband what happened, but it didn't register like anything with me to be like, oh man, she really got to own up to this, and I just didn't feel anything. So this is why I felt like their relationship could have been established, or I would have liked to seen their relationship established a little bit more.
But see, I think that lends to the story. They were broken in a way, though. Because apparently this wasn't a new thing. Remember, they went to marriage counseling. He had divulged that to David. So I see what you're saying, but it was also from how do I want to say it? Sometimes shit just happens. He didn't have an inkling of what was happening because, you know, he trusts and loves his wife, but I mean, it kind of is what it is. But David, again, proves just how crazy he is. He done found a hobo and faked his death.
And this is where, in the part of the movie, I was like, these police are horrible.
They really are.
They were like, oh, we found a letter with matching David's handwriting and also his clothes. He's dead. You know, you don't have to worry about him. I was like, handwriting and clothing.
His therapist is all on TV, like, he was troubled. He left a message confessing to everything.
And I was like, girl, what you doing on TV? You're a psychiatrist. You're not supposed to be on TV giving interviews.
Like, that's stuff. A HIPAA violation. I think. I'm pretty sure it is.
Police are horrible. His psychiatrist is horrible. Girl, Ellie, just get out. Like, run, girl.
Right. So they end up, of course, he ends up on their beach house in their property. You know, he done tied up the daddy and the daughter.
He done killed the boyfriend.
Right.
What is her name?
Oh, did he kill him? Or
he killed him.
Because I wrote that down. He was tied up on the patio like a la Scream.
I think he was dead.
Was he?
I'm pretty sure he was dead. If he wasn't, that would make sense like towards the end of the movie because they was acting like nothing
never happened.
I still got my family, everything's okay, and I was like, girl, your boyfriend dead. but like it's just like the climax of the movie. He done got in there, you know, he trying to fight her or whatever, and she's holding her own or whatever, but she kept pissing me off because when she stabbed him and ran away. Yeah.
They end up outside. They end up fighting. Her husband is getting his butt kicked.
Yeah.
He done got thrown off the roof like Bishop, and it's and they're fighting. He's getting his butt kicked. She picks up a log, hits him, and then drops it. And I'm like, y'all need to wear him out. Wear him out.
Like what literally made me laugh out loud when she was like fighting him. She hit him like they was on top of Marcus, like choking him out, whatever. She finds a log, hits him with the log. David falls on the ground for like 2 seconds. He's not out.
Right.
He's still rolling around. She drops the log and it's like, oh baby, come on, get up. I was like, girl, you don't get up.
That log. Y'all won't get up. But eventually, you know, they continue to fight, and he ends up going over the cliff, and they're trying to save him.
That was another thing.
I'm like, if y'all don't let his
him
ass go, let him go, kick him.
Like if I was her husband, I'd be like, "Girl, what you doing?" And kick him off.
Right. Which, I mean, again, I see it.
Yeah, humanity. I mean, like, yeah,
they're thinking like he's sick. There's something wrong with him.
But
I'm like, he done killed the boyfriend. He done killed the cop. He slit the cop's throat.
Right.
Like
he was trying to kill y'all.
Yeah,
like,
right. He was just trying to take over, but movie just basically comes to an end. Life is restored. Daughter goes back to college. Her and Marcus have a better relationship. She's still apologizing. He's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know. And then it goes off. So it definitely seems like it was a week for entanglements.
Most definitely. I did enjoy, though, in this movie, the performance, most of all, by Omar Epps.
Yeah.
I really believed that he, especially at the very end where he had put together that record together, and he was like, "Oh, I love this song." Like, I was like, girl, he crazy.
The writing of his character was so spot on. Because remember, I was talking about the art of seduction and the way he kind of played it. So there's like different phases to seduction. You know, start off as one character. Eventually, the person becomes wise about it, and you have to go through another round of seduction. So he started off as the charmer, and then he progressed to what they call a rake. Somebody you know is a little bit immoral, kind of dangerous, but you're still entertaining them. Another thing he did, which is classic behavior, was he created so many triangles within her life that she was almost isolated. So it was her, Courtney, him, her husband, her, and David. What was the other one? There was another one, but all of it kind of played into itself. And then also he used the words to just kind of sow confusion among everybody. So it was just like they couldn't be a united front because he was doing what he needed to do to isolate her. So that's how I feel she got into the situation she was in, because he had set it up for her to be isolated and to be vulnerable. And for all you people out there, these are things to watch out. Like whether you're dating, whether you got like a toxic friend or something, this is how you spot some of those red flags.
This was to the extreme. There were so many red flags in this movie.
Yeah, but that goes to the character, the testament of how they wrote the character.
Yeah, that's true. Again, I loved seeing him, and it was something different. We most often don't see Omar Epps in that, villain role. But I think he did a great job in it. I believe that every time I saw him on screen and he was just standing there staring at her with his eyes wide open, I really believed that he was crazy.
Yeah.
Another thing about this movie, if you actually watch this movie, I got to the end of this movie and I was like, yo, this is just pretty much another The Perfect Boyfriend with Sanaa Lathan.
The Perfect Guy.
Yeah, The Perfect Guy. I'm sorry. The Perfect Guy with Sanaa Lathan, Michael Ealy, and Morris Chestnut.
Yeah.
I want to say that they kind of did it better in that movie. There were a lot of similarities to that movie and this movie. But still a good watch.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is my guilty pleasure. These are my guilty pleasure type of movies. No matter where they come on, I turn on the TV and watch. So I think I still even got No Good Deed came on TV one day, and I was like, well, let me record this. I still got that on my DVR, and I still watch that like like at least once a month.
Yeah.
So still a good movie. I enjoyed it. It may not be up to, like I said, I don't think it was up to the quality of the previous movies that we've seen with the same type of situations, same type of storylines, but it was still good to me.
Yeah. Again, these movies are not meant to be taken
They're not.
seriously.
Yeah,
they're not going to win.
And the Oscar goes to Nia Long in The Perfect
Which is the same, because I think as an actress, she really does have a lot of range.
She does.
The movies, I mean, she's Debbie from Friday. She just happens to pop up in movies, and you're like, it's Nia Long. I didn't know she was in this.
And those are the two, Nia Long, Omar Epps, those are the two main reasons why I watched this movie and why I enjoyed it, because they're such great actress and actor that put them and this story together. You can do another one. I'll watch it again. all
right, so let's set the table here. We got 1 to 10 on a Blerdometer.
Okay.
What do we say?
I would say a 6.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
We're always like right here. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6 because it wasn't trash.
Yeah.
Reductive maybe, but again, I knew what I was getting into when I turned it on to watch it.
Yeah,
and
most definitely.
It definitely killed about 2 hours for me yesterday before we started playing
I was surprised that it was an hour. It was an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And like how fast, like the beginning of how fast it went. I actually paused the movie and was like, "Is this an hour long? Like we going real quick here." And then it was an hour and a half. So I was like, "Oh, so we got a lot more crazy to go."
Oh yeah,
So,
definitely.
but yeah, definitely enjoyable. Took my mind off things for that time that I was watching it.
Cool. All right, so that was our review of The Fatal Affair, Netflix original movie starring Nia Long, Omar Epps. Definitely, if you get a chance, I suggest you check it out if you're into those type of movies. I understand it ain't everybody's cup of tea. But we do want to thank you for stopping by, listening to us rant about this movie. Again, we're going to be doing a lot more movie reviews. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like. And again, what did you think about this movie? If you actually saw it, drop down in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. That was our episode for today. I'm your host, Killer Cam.
And I'm Monique.
And we'll see you next time on Blerd Up.
Thanks, guys.